Tessaract is based on three main issues of architecture and their solutions. The first issue is Eurocentric ideals have concocted a dominant style of building where traditional architecture of the region is disregarded. Two solutions can be, with the implementation of diverse architects, diverse architecture will emerge and become the invitation of a more diverse population. And indigenous people of the colonized region ought to have a say in its architecture and its impact on their culture and the land. More people of color ought to occupy positions of authority. Another issue with architecture is that Eurocentric ideals have led to a whitewashed history where minorities are repressed and their ideas stolen. Two solutions can be: one, professional firms and institutions ought to accept people of all backgrounds. Decisions will not be based on gender, race, or sexuality. Architecture history ought to be taught in its full scope and include non-traditional designers. The basis for determining which designers to include will be free of bias on gender, race, or sexuality. The third issue with architecture is that Eurocentric ideals have led to a throwaway culture, as most building materials must be imported. Materials are not site-specific and imposed through a history of colonization. One solution can be, public buildings ought to be guaranteed to last a minimum of 500 years, constructed with the flexibility of multi-use buildings. And laws against demolishing undesired structures ought to be implemented. If a building must be disassembled for safety reasons, the material must be recycled properly. Our current architecture, I argue, is three-dimensional, and with Tessaract, it can be four-dimensional.